Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Goldstein, founder of We Did It Health, and I am so excited to be here for our third Saturday keynote presentation, and we have a very special guest today. Let me first tell you, if you're not familiar with what our mission and objective is, uh, we are here to actually, let me do this. I'm a minute early, so I'm going to start over again. I wanted to welcome everybody and make sure that we're on a minute early just so that people can find us and join us, because I know that sometimes these live streams are a little bit challenging to launch and find and where to click and technology stuff. So I'm going to just hold on one more minute and get started. So, welcome if you're already here. I'd love to know who you are, and I so appreciate you and so look forward to adding value to everybody's lives and holiday experiences. So, I'm going to take one more minute before I actually get started here. Um, so, thank you for being here. I see there's more people coming on and coming on, so we want to make sure that everybody's here from the beginning as much as possible. Um, well, I think I'll go ahead and get started now. So here we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm Peter Goldstein, founder of We Did It Health, and I am so excited that we are launching our new community, which is, we're calling it the Thrive and Inspire Ambassadors Community. So our mission overall is to move the needle on the vegan and whole food plant-based world for four big reasons. There's a fourth one that I just became so aware of that you'll want to know about also. So it's for health, it's for animal compassion and justice, it's for climate healing, but the big fourth one is global hunger. So actually, if we all became vegan and plant-based, we'd all be healthy. We save so much animal suffering. We could reverse the climate change, and we could feed everybody, so we wouldn't have so many starving people around the world. So that's our mission. Thank you. I'm so glad we're here. You're here. We're all here. I'm so glad we're all here, and we have a very special guest. I'll introduce him in a second. Our mission, our purpose here is to thrive and inspire. So thrive for ourselves, to be able to thrive with physical health, with emotional well-being, and then to have the tools, strategies, and support so we can inspire our friends and loved ones to change their lifestyle to be plant-based for all the four reasons I mentioned before. So with that, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to bring on Dr. Leigh Ettinger. He's an MD. He's a doctor. He's a pediatrician, and more importantly, he's even more specific. He's a nephrologist, a kidney doctor with kids, and of course, he'll tell you all about it. He's shifted his career, his path. He wants to be more engaged directly with people, and he'll tell you all about that. He's also an amazing bicyclist, an adventurer, and he's just a wonderful all-around human being, and I know you're going to love to meet him. So with that, I'll bring him on, and here he is, Dr. Ettinger.
Thanks so much, Peter. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you for having me here today. Yes, as Peter said, I am a pediatric nephrologist. I worked for 16 years at a major medical institution in northern New Jersey as a pediatric nephrologist and also as a pediatric obesity specialist. But last year, I changed my focus. I really want to spread the plant-based message to families. And so I help families that are plant-based ensure that their children are growing well without any nutrient deficiencies. And then I'm also still focused on the pediatric obesity, trying to help families that are struggling with weight management for their children to employ the plant-based diet for pediatric weight management. Okay, let me start the slideshow. And let me just start with a medical disclaimer. While I am a gray-haired doctor, I'm not your gray-haired doctor. So this presentation is for information purposes only. Please talk with your doctor who knows you best before you make any changes in your diet or lifestyle. All right, I'm actually want to get started with a poll. So here's a statement. Right now, gravity is pulling me up out of my chair, and I'm going to show you how to answer this poll in real time. So there's a few different ways. If you are on a laptop or desktop, open a new window, a new tab, and go to slido.com. And while you're doing that, in a moment, I'll read out the number that you're going to enter on the screen that you see there. If you're on a laptop or desktop and have your phone by your side, open the phone's camera and point the camera at the QR code in the left upper corner. Don't take a picture of the QR code. Just in a moment, a yellow bar will pop up on the screen under the QR code, and click on that, and that will take you to the poll. So if you're on a desktop and you've opened a new window now, you can enter in the number 256 637 8. And then you should go into the Slido account and make sure you're not looking at Q&A, but rather in the top, there is a place to click on polls. So if hopefully you're seeing the screen and seeing a true-false selection, pick your true or false. Right now, gravity is pulling me up out of my chair, true or false. Click on your answer and submit. Now, if you're on your phone, there's no easy way for you to participate in this poll because it would mean you have to leave this account or this presentation. So you can just enter in the chat, true or false, whether this statement is true or false. Right now, gravity is pulling me up out of my chair. I'll give you some moments to make that selection. Is anyone having any technical problems with this? I used to do this live when I gave talks in person before the pandemic, and the audience would whip out their phones and I'd have the QR code up on the screen, and it was really fun to see people's answers pop up. This is my first time attempting it since the pandemic. Hopefully we can get some answers coming up. Peter, are you seeing any chat comments or getting any feedback from anyone out in the audience that they might be having trouble with this?
I've seen a couple falses. One person says true, and two people say false.
That's interesting. It's not coming up on my screen.
Yeah, this technology stuff.
Like I said, it was easy when oh, here we go. All right, I've won. I guess maybe it's a little lag for my presentation, but yeah. So how many responses do you have so far?
Well,
I'm looking at one response.
I see 3 in the chat.
3 in the chat. Okay, what are they saying?
1 says true and 2 say false, and maybe the person who says true is maybe she really knew the answer here. So
no hints.
I'm
no hints.
Suspect of her. No hints.
Is that person a physicist or something?
A physicist, yes.
Or
anybody else want to chime in on this? I know I was fooled. So Leigh, you're very clever with this. This is a really important question because it's certainly we all think by default that would be false.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm seeing one in my slides. I'm seeing one person put false, but you're saying that in the chat it seems like people are saying false. Okay, so the actual answer is true. Because gravity is the attractive force between 2 objects with mass. So right now, yes, we are all being pulled down by the gravity of the Earth below us, but we are actually being pulled up by the moon, the stars above us. Even this light fixture above me is pulling up on me based on the gravity between me and the light switch, the light fixture. It's just that such slight gravities from these very small or very distant objects they might be calculatable, but they're not perceptible. Think about the moon pulling on the tides, the pulls on the ocean. So yes, the true answer is that gravity is pulling me up out of my chair. I might not perceive it, but it is there. Gravity's pulling me in every direction, but this tug of war right now is being won by the Earth. So if we can, you should have the question reset. And now, if you can, re-enter your answer after learning that updated information about gravity. So right now, gravity is pulling me up out of my chair. Would you still say false, or do you think it's true?
Seems like people are fascinated by this fact, and I know I was when you first told me, and it is amazing. So maybe you want to show us some other things that we may really change our perceptions on if we get the true facts.
Yes, exactly. So this is an example that I used, and someone might have a preconceived notion about gravity, and then I gave a piece of data, some information, and like I said, when I've done this poll live, we've gotten back that I've been able to change at least most of the audience's answers from false to true. I hope all the viewers out there and listeners out there have also been if you thought it was false before, now you think it's true. Now, wouldn't that be nice if that was the way we could change people's minds about the plant-based diet, right? You present the plant-based diet, you maybe give a piece of information about how it improved your health, or it's helping the animals or the environment, or as Peter mentioned, the global food crisis, the food insecurity issues. And wouldn't it be nice if that simple fact could change people's mind as quickly and easily as I changed your mind about gravity? But I'm assuming you're here because that has not been your experience. So what we have is upcoming holidays with the omnivores, with friends and family members who perhaps you tried to change their mind with some simple facts like I did about gravity, and it hasn't worked. So you are going to be going and enjoying, I hope, or dreading holidays with these friends and family members. So I'm going to go over 3 strategies to help you cope. Now, I go by Doctor Herbivore because I'm trying to help families eat more plant-based. Things we're going to be talking about are new perspectives and I hope solutions. I'll be talking about chimpanzees. I'll be talking about yawning. I'll be talking about the rose.
Excuse me for interrupting. Your slides, you're not back on your slideshow. You're still on your poll. There you go. Thank you.
Wait, what do you see? I'm on my slides.
We do see your slides now. We're good. Thank you.
It's on my objectives. All right.
Yes, yes.
Technology.
All
right. So the first story we're talking about is the chimpanzees. So we have a lot in common with chimpanzees. Actually, a lot of our DNA. We both have opposable thumbs. We have ability to use tools, communicate, and we have some complex emotions like sympathy and grief. But the big difference between us and the chimpanzees is the stories that we tell each other and how we can share really made up kind of abstract stories with each other. And the listener has a decision whether they're going to believe the stories or not. So let's say that I could communicate perfectly with this chimpanzee in this picture here holding the banana. And I say, Mr. Chimp, I see you have a banana. I would like that banana. Would you please give me the banana? If you give me that banana, you will be a nice chimp. If you don't give me that banana and share your banana with me, you will be a naughty chimp. Now, in December, we have a very festive holiday. And if you are a nice chimp to me now in December, overnight, the jolly man from the North Pole will ride on a sleigh of reindeer to your tree where you live. And when you wake up in the morning, because you're a nice chimp, now sharing your banana with me, you will wake up and find a whole bunch of bananas. And if you're a naughty chimp and don't share that banana with me, then you'll likely find nothing. So the chimpanzee might consider this story and not quite believe it and refuse to give me the banana. But I might say, well, Mr. Chimp, you're driving a hard bargain. What if I give you this green piece of paper in exchange for the banana? I'll have the banana, you have the green piece of paper. You can take the green piece of paper down to the market. And when you're at the market, you can pick out another item, a mango or coconut or candy bar if you want, and pass the piece of paper over to the person behind the counter, and you get to keep your new purchase. Now do we have a deal? And the chimpanzee might still be scratching his head and say, no, I don't think so. I don't know about this market you talk about or what I'm really going to do with this piece of paper. Please understand that the story of Santa Claus and the story of money and the dollar are equally legitimate. They're both totally made up by people. The only difference is in the degree of belief in the story. And if you're about 6 years old, you've probably figured out that the story of Santa Claus is a fairy tale. And maybe you've started to get allowance and you figured out that the story of money is pretty important and that you should really try to understand. And all the adults seem to really focus on money in the home. So the only difference between those two stories is the degree of acceptance. Another way you can think about it is that 1,000 years ago, there was no story of Santa Claus. 1,000 years ago, there was no story of the US dollar. And I don't know, in 1,000 years, if there's still going to be a similar story of Santa Claus and if the US dollar will still be the unit of exchange. On the other hand, gravity was still here 1,000 years ago. Gravity is still going to be here in 1,000 years. But I hope you can see that these are just stories that we tell each other right now. Now, for most of my life, I heard stories that, well, what if I said to this chimpanzee, put that banana down, it's full of carbohydrates. You need a lean protein. You need to eat meat. You need dairy for strong bones and fish for healthy fats. So those are the stories that I heard most of my life. And those are the stories I would tell my patients who are looking for nutritional information. But in 2014, I started to hear other stories about the plant-based diet and how the plant-based diet can really help health and how these milk and meats and fish and other animal-based products could actually start to harm health. And the more I looked into it, the more these stories made more sense to me and guided my life. So the first problem that we're going to talk about is that people have heard animal-based stories their whole life. And here we come along as plant-based ambassadors, vegan ambassadors, and these are new stories that are disconcerting to people. So the solution to this problem is to share with people these new plant-based stories, share how maybe your health has been benefited or ways that the plant-based diet has impacted your life. So I have an example of a plant-based ambassador, We Did It Health ambassador sharing a story. But I also ask to consider new traditions. The stories that make up our upcoming holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, are all based on just that. They're stories. We eat Thanksgiving on the Thursday in November. That's a story. The calendar is a story. Another example I have is that when I was growing up, I grew up Jewish. So does anyone know what Jewish families do on Christmas when the rest of the Christian world is celebrating this very special holiday? What Jewish families do it? Is any comments on what might Jewish traditions be on Christmas? I actually saw this in a movie once. I don't think it was only my family, but Peter, can you see, are there any comments in the chat about what Jewish people do on Christmas Day?
I don't see any comments yet. And I know I'm Jewish myself, so everything's closed except for Chinese restaurants. So
that's exactly it. Yes, thank you. You're not a plant. Yes, my family, we would go to Mr. Lee's Chinese restaurant. I thought it was so cool because my name was Lee, and we would go to Mr. Lee's Chinese restaurant, and that was my Jewish family tradition. And it sounds like I'm not alone. Yes, the Chinese food restaurants. So then, so for my childhood, that was our tradition. On Christmas, we would go out for Chinese food. And then I meet my wife and we get married and she's Christian. And all of a sudden my traditions changed for Christmas Day. Now I'm happily celebrating Christmas with my in-laws and my family and my kids. So you can see that my tradition for what to do on that day changed from my childhood to my adulthood. So I would ask that people, when they're planning their holiday traditions with their families, if their families are omnivores, to start thinking about new holiday traditions. For example, they're just stories. So the story of having a turkey on your table, would the families be agreeable to having a plant-based entree instead, hopefully, or at least side by side with the turkey? Or, it's just a story. Why do we have to sit around and eat a meal as a family? Could we go for a walk together, or go to the park together, or clean up the park together, or do something like that on these holidays? Why are they always centered around meals? So I would just ask to brainstorm and perhaps think about new traditions to carry forward with the family as your diet has changed, and just like as my religion changed growing up to my adulthood. All right, so then you also get the retorts from people when you start talking about the plant-based diet, but I like bacon, or I love cheese. Well, the next topic I want to talk about is something called the pleasure trap of these foods. And this is a concept in a book by Dr. Lyle, and it's problem number 2, the pleasure trap. So high-calorie processed foods with salt, added sugar, fat, comfort us into thinking our survival problems have been solved. So we evolved at a time of calorie scarcity. And all of the parts of our brain and our body is geared towards gathering calories. And if we get those calories, we're very happy. We get a little dopamine, a little opioids, a little serotonin, and we're going to survive another day, another week. So our brain has been spun into a puzzle it was never designed to solve. So we're totally geared to seeking out and gathering and eating these calories. And now calories are everywhere. So that puts us on the pleasure trap. And the pleasure trap means that the lower calorie food choice feels wrong, and the higher calorie food choice feels better in the moment. So 100,000 years ago, our prehistoric ancestor finding an apple or an apple pie and was only allowed to eat one, in this story, would obviously eat the apple pie because that would ensure longer survival. That was the right choice. Or eat bacon or eat cheese, the high calorie density foods. And that was the right choice. So, but nowadays, eating pie every day, eating bacon every day, eating cheese every day, this has become a more problematic choice. It still feels right, though, because of the way we evolved. The apple actually feels like a threat to our survival. So bringing up the plant-based diet to someone might actually feel like a threat to their survival, that they can no longer eat those foods that we evolved to seek out. Might actually be almost a threat to the person. When I read the book, I was very moved by this concept. And as a father of 3 and pediatrician, I thought it also applied to parents. So we have this instinct to feed or even overfeed our children so that they survive. And a child who says they do not like a certain food, like vegetables, is really just expressing that they cannot, they're concerned that they cannot survive on that lower calorie food. Like, mom, dad, parent, grandparent, guardian, why are you giving me these asparagus when I can eat ice cream instead? Why are you trying to impair my survival? Let me have the ice cream. So I think the temper tantrums and these food fights make complete evolutionary sense. But that's not it. We're also in the product trap. Companies are worried about their own survival and products. A bland product could doom a company. So like a picky child making demands, the food companies insist on serving us highly processed food. So the problem is with these traps is that we don't know we're stuck in them. And one of the ways out of them was described by Dr. Brewer in a 9-minute TED Talk that he posted in 2016. And it's really worth a visit. I'll sum it up here. He was trying to help people quit smoking. He was teaching them about mindfulness and the concept and practice of mindfulness. And he was surprised to see that these people that were quitting smoking were also losing weight. And that's not typical. People who quit smoke because of the oral fixation, they often gain weight. So when he delved into it, he found out that these smokers were applying the same mindfulness concept to their food selection. And he was like, aha. So he also does research now in helping people overcome their food traps with this concept of mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Our high-calorie foods that we enjoy so much, they're enchanting. Like I said, we're evolved to seek out and enjoy high-calorie foods. So all of our senses are fine-tuned to be attracted to the sight of these foods, so colorful, to the smell of the foods, baking, to the sound of the foods. That cupcake wrapper crinkling as you unwrap it is very enchanting. And then, of course, the taste of the foods and how it feels in our mouths, the consistency, and then, of course, all the memories that are triggered of childhood cupcake parties and birthday parties, things like that. So all of this highly processed foods, and I'll throw bacon and meat products in there too, they're just very enchanting to our senses. So we got to break those chances.
I'm sorry, Leigh. Hate to interrupt you, but your slides aren't advancing.
Uh-oh,
I
what
don't.
slide am
There
I
we go.
on?
Not now.
What slide am I on then?
You're good now. I see the rows, but you were stuck on the chimpanzee before. So, I guess technology is kind of monkeying around with you.
Is it John? Yeah. Did
You
you
are
see
you
my
are on the rows. Yes, you
did you
move
see my
forward now.
picture of Judson Brewer? Did you
No,
see that?
last slide we seen was the chimpanzee and the money, the dollar and Santa Claus. So
It stuck on that slide.
it was stuck on that slide. Yes,
I'm like 30 slides past that one.
30 slides past.
All right, so this
I'm
is an
sorry.
audio presentation. I
It's an
wonder
audio.
why. I think my polling software corrupted this file or something.
That may very well be. Yikes.
All right, so now what do you?
Okay, so it's problem number one. People have heard animal-based stories their whole lives.
All right.
Is
Now what do you see?
and is your audio off, Leigh? We're not
No,
hearing
I
you now.
can hear you. I was just waiting to see what you're seeing now.
Well, I'm still seeing the problem number one. People have heard animal-based stories their whole life.
Okay. Do you see the
And
solution to
honestly,
that?
it looks, nope. Are you advancing? Yes, your slide has not moved since you came to, well, you had the rows and now this one. Okay, so now it's centered. Before the slide was distorted. Now I see it centered. With the second half of the problem number one slide is on also. Consider new traditions.
Yeah, that was like 15 minutes ago.
Oh my
Let me see.
goodness.
I'm going to close the file and try to open it up again.
Yeah, go ahead and close down PowerPoint altogether.
Yeah.
Everybody, we apologize on behalf of technology and the technology monsters out there.
Yeah, this is frustrating. Let me see. So, whoops.
So you need to start with that present and upload. There it is.
Okay.
And it's back online.
All right. What do you see now?
See your medical disclaimer.
Okay, yes, that's very important. But
Yes.
we're going to move on from there.
Yes, please do.
All right. So my chimpanzee friend.
So I'll nod when you advance your slide.
All right.
You're still on medical disclaimer. If you leave your slide presentation where it is and then click on the left on the slide that you'd like to be showing, maybe that would get you. Leave the previews on. There you go. You've advanced the problem number one slide. This is a really wonderful slide presentation, and I'm sorry that it's being messed up. And
I'm sorry too. I don't know what the problem is. So you
and
didn't.
somebody's asking if you can share a copy of the slide with the audience.
I'm trying to, but yeah, I can I can send it to you afterwards, or we
Okay.
could try to refilm this, or I can try to refilm it separately and upload that file. You're looking at the
That,
pleasure trap now.
so we're looking at problem number 2, the pleasure trap. Yes.
All right. Here's my apple and apple pie example. Here's the child who's frustrated about being served vegetables. Do you see that?
You're on problem number 2 slide.
Oh, so
Okay,
it
there
seems
you
like
go.
it doesn't advance at all when I'm actually trying to play the
Yeah.
when I'm actually
So
trying
it's
to play it.
yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's a shame. So you're not going to get any of the
Um,
visuals. I've never had this before. I wonder if it's the polling software I inserted in there.
that's probably a okay. Click the slideshow and then start from the beginning, and you can move forward from there. Is what Jeff Palmer is suggesting.
Click the slideshow.
Click slideshow, which is I think what you were doing first time around is click slideshow on your top menu and then start from the beginning, which would be your first icon in the second row on top. And
You know what? You know what? I think you need to change the window view, Peter.
change the window view.
Yeah. You're looking at of my window, but can you see the other window that I have open?
Oh, do you have two monitors? I'm not sure how that would work.
No, in the bottom of StreamYard,
Yeah,
there's my camera where you can see my face, but then there's another
yes.
window. Do you see
Yes,
that
there's
other
another
window?
window which if I remove the other window, we don't see your slideshow at all. So I have I have three windows open, you, me, and your slideshow.
Right. So can you close you and me and see
Okay,
what happens to the slideshow?
sure. If okay, there's the slideshow now. Will you advance it there?
I'm going to try in a moment. All right. What do you see now?
Well, I'm seeing the slideshow, same slide, the product trap.
All right. Let me
Okay, and now that changed. Now that's moved on to the next slide.
Oh, it has. Okay.
Yeah. So now it's problem number 2.
Yes. Well, hmm. But how do sorry, what was the suggestion that someone wrote in?
Well, the suggestion I think Jeff suggested what we were doing, which was so now we're showing yes. So now we're showing the cupcakes. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's not.
you know what? There's up the icons. The very first icon says start from the beginning, but you're fine where you are, and I would just try and proceed from here. Then
But that's not going to have any of the animations and stuff.
yeah. Um,
Hmm. Let me try. let me try. Oh, let me try taking the polling. Oh, the polling stuff is gone. That's out. This.
Okay, so I would suggest then, if it's okay with everybody, is that if you would go ahead with your presentation without the slides, we'll send out the slides. And if you'd like to record it, we'll certainly be happy to post the recording with the slides after
Okay.
you have
I'll just show the slides without the animations, I guess. They're mostly fun, but
I'm sure they are. I know they are because I've seen it before. So.
Okay. I'm back on the cupcakes, the enchanting cupcakes.
Okay.
Can you see the cupcakes?
Nope. Oh, well, your slides are not uploaded at this point.
I think what I'll have to do is maybe record this myself for your viewers. I'll just record it so that it's not all jumbled up.
They'll be wonderful, and we'll upload it to our YouTube channel and make it available on our Facebook page and Facebook group once you have that.
And I'm going to write a strongly worded email to this polling software. I think that was the culprit.
Yeah.
I won't mention them by name, or maybe I should. Are you looking at my cupcakes yet?
No, no. I need to. There we go. There's your cupcakes.
All right, cupcakes. Buy cupcakes. All right, so mindfulness. Looking at the flower yet?
Yes, the flower's up.
Okay, so sorry about this, everybody. So Dr. Brewer says that mindfulness means being curious in the moment. So it means thinking about the rose, for example. So this rose is so enchanting with the smell and its beauty look and the memories of Valentine's Day. So you might want to grab the rose, but if you grab the rose, you might get stuck by the thorns below. So this is how we think about animal products. While they might be enchanting, below them, underneath the enchantment, are the thorns, which are like animal welfare, the environmental impact, health impact, and as Peter mentioned, the global food insecurity issues. So when we think about those impacts, the thorns below the rose, the mindfulness thinking about those other concerns about the animal products, all of a sudden the rose isn't so enchanting anymore. So our curiosity leads to disenchantment. And once you're disenchanted by something, it no longer has that control over you. Yes, as plant-based people, we can smell bacon and understand that that would taste really great, but our mind goes to these other impacts of the bacon, and then it's no longer enchanting for us. So Dr. Brewer, I'm going to skip that. Try to stay, we're running low on time. So the problem is your Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. So when we're trying to help other people become disenchanted by telling them about the animal welfare, the environmental impact, that doesn't quite work. They're too enchanted. So this is why I say swap out the enchantment. The solution, which is under here, I'm going to animate with my cursor, is swap out their enchantments with plant-based products. So notice I've swapped out the rose. It's still a beautiful rose, but now it's a plant-based rose, let's say. So I've swapped out the meat with a plant-based meat product. I've swapped out the dairy with a plant-based dairy product. And so the people can still have their enchantments and enjoy what they enjoy about these products without any of these other problems like the animal welfare, the environmental impact, may or may not still have health impacts. of the plant-based burgers and ice creams, but at least we've made a dent in some of these other impacts. So the other problem, all right, so the thing is that vegans are deficient in patience. I'm going to skip that part too. I'll tell you a story about how a woman I know used this enchantment swapping technique to good effect. So she was a high up administrator in my hospital's administration, and she was plant-based, and she was trying her darndest to get plant-based foods introduced into the hospital cafeteria, where I learned the number one product being sold was pizza, and the number two product being sold was pizza with pepperoni on. So the other administrators did not want to introduce plant-based foods into the hospital cafeteria. So she crashed one of their meetings and brought them lunch. So she brought them a delightful plant-based lunch, and all of a sudden they were enchanted with this plant-based lunch. It was so delicious and so tasty that they were able to decide that, okay, we can serve some of these plant-based foods in our hospital cafeteria. So kudos to this woman who her technique of swapping someone else's enchantments helped achieve her goals of getting plant-based foods in my hospital cafeteria. Ooh, here's a little video you can watch. Do you see are you seeing a video?
Yes.
All right. So now if my polling software would work, I would ask you if anyone else in the audience had the urge to yawn while watching that clip of that cute boy yawning. So we can take a moment. People, did anyone out there, can you write in the chat if you had the urge to yawn while watching that clip of a kid yawning?
I know I did.
You did? Well, yeah. I don't think my my slideshow has been that boring. This has been a very adventurous slideshow. But yeah, maybe you're yawning because you're bored. But no, actually, the reason why people yawn when other people's yawning is called contagious yawning. And this is due to mirror neurons. So a mirror neuron is a nerve that activates when a person acts or when they see someone else do that same action. And it's not mimicry. So yes, when people see someone else yawn, they want to yawn too, except there's some social connection going on. We're not quite sure why. For example, it's been studied, people with autism do not yawn when other people in the room yawn. A person who sees a relative yawn is more likely to yawn than when they see a stranger yawn. And a man is more likely to trigger a woman to yawn than a woman is to trigger a man to yawn. So there's something social, some kind of connection going on. Nobody knows quite why we do this contagious yawning, but it is a good example of mirror neurons. Another example of mirror neurons is you ever be in the park and you see someone hit with a Frisbee and you cringe up too? That's mirror neurons, again, reacting, not mimicking the person getting hit by the Frisbee, but rather, 100,000 years ago, if our tribe was walking through the woods and a tree branch fell, or another tribe was throwing rocks at us, and you saw someone else get hit with a flying object, your urge to cringe is the first step in you seeking shelter. So maybe that saved people's lives a long time ago. So that's another example of mirror neurons. Now, mirror neurons also can trigger enchantments. So for example, have you ever been in a restaurant and you hear another table and the waitstaff singing happy birthday, and then the whole restaurant starts singing happy birthday too? Well, those are mirror neurons. So we've been trained since toddlers that we would sing the birthday song and then get a slice of cake. And so even as adults, we're hearing the birthday song and maybe we start to salivate, maybe our stomach starts to grumble, but it's in response to the birthday song. And these are mirror neurons acting that it makes evolutionary sense if we're sitting around our tribe, a group of people, and they're eating a high calorie food like birthday cake, that we would want to eat the birthday cake too, because we would want to survive. It wouldn't be a survival advantage to see other people are eating cake or eating some high calorie food 100,000 years ago, and we're not inclined to eat it. but we salivate and we start to get excited. This can be why it's so hard to stick to a diet during a social situation. Someone hands you the birthday cake and you're on a diet, but evolutionarily, 100,000 years ago, there was no way you would turn down someone handing you food. So part of our evolution and part of our desire to survive is triggering these mirror neurons so that we eat what everyone else around us is eating. But it works both ways. Have you ever been, you see someone vomit and you feel nauseated, or you smell or hear someone vomit and you feel nauseated? So that is mirror neurons also. Imagine 100,000 years ago sitting around a carcass or sitting around a fruit bush, and the person next to you starts to vomit. And all of a sudden you feel nauseated and you stop eating. That other person wanders off and dies because they've been poisoned by some toxin or they get dehydrated, but you've survived because you lost your appetite. So you can see that mirror neurons can be a survival advantage also. So mirror neurons affect all of us. So here is a picture of the holiday table. And up in the left-hand corner here is a We Did It Health ambassador. And I've blurred out the carcass. I blurred out the turkey so as not to offend any sensitive viewers. But everyone else around the table, their mirror neurons are very excited for this feast. And they are salivating and their stomach's grumbling. And they're going to do what everyone else around them is which is to eat these animal products and animals. But you, as the vegan, us as the vegan sitting there, our mirror neurons are having the opposite reaction, that we've decided that this is poison. Maybe we develop an upset stomach. We get agitated because we don't want to eat the poison, and it pains us to see other people eating that poison too. So think about when you're at the holiday table, that the response that we have as vegans, as plant-based ambassadors, is almost evolutionary, or not almost, it's kind of evolutionary in nature, that we're having an actual physiologic response to being exposed to what we consider a toxin. So the solution for these mirror neuron problems is that, well, for one, people eat or don't eat what others around them are eating because of mirror neurons. The solution is to recognize that your discomfort might be due to these mirror neurons, and to really try to eat around other plant-based people the other 365 days of the year. Really, a sense of community can be invigorating. Here's a picture of a group of friends eating around a plant-based meal, or going to a vegan food festival, and inviting omnivores to eat around other plant-based people at vegan restaurants, or in your own home hosting a plant-based dinner party. Having the omnivores eat in such situations will hopefully trigger their mirror neurons to enjoy and engage in the plant-based foods that they might feel are toxic to them. All right, so now I'm gonna sum it up if I can. Whoop. This is not where I wanna be. All right. So yeah, the animations here aren't gonna happen, but all right, so here's a picture of a group of friends eating around a holiday dinner, and this woman in the back here, you can see by her face that she's plant-based, and she just figured out the dessert that's being passed around is not vegan, not plant-based. She's operating under story A, the plant-based story, and everyone else at the table is operating under story B, the animal-based model. So the solution for this is my summary slides, is to come up with new traditions, either if that's a plant-based option, or not eating together, or changing the whole scene into less of a food-based time with the family or friends into more of an activity-based that's not revolved around food. That's one option. All right, so now the second problem is that she's been disenchanted. Her mindfulness about the food that's at the table has made her disenchanted, where everyone else at the table is still enchanted. They don't see the thorns, they don't see the problems with the animal-based foods. So the solution to that second problem is to come up with enchanting plant-based foods. And then the last is that she's experiencing disgust because of her mirror neurons, whereas everyone else at the table is experiencing desire because of their mirror neurons. And the solution to that really is to soothe the mirror neurons, and it can be elsewhere if need be. Eating plant-based the rest of the year, not eating at a table with animal products the rest of the year. So that's my summary slides. I apologize to everyone about this. I'm going to throw my laptop out the window after this, and um, but if I'm ever online again, you can find me at this website, drherbivore.com. You can email me at ettinger@drherbivore.com. I'd really like to hear about how your holidays go. If you employ any of these techniques or come up with any of your own solutions, I'd be happy to hear about them. I'd like to hear about them. I have a Facebook group where it's a Dr. Herbivore Facebook group where we talk about plant-based issues. I put content on Instagram and LinkedIn, and then I'm happy to say that I'm a newish moderator for this whole communities, which is from T. Colin Campbell's nutrition study courses that offers a nice forum for people who are plant-based who want to learn how to be who want to learn how to be better advocates for plant-based eating also. I'm a little flummoxed. So you can contact me, you can connect with me, you can look out for more content. But like I said, I might not ever be on my computer ever again. But if I am, this is where I'll be. All right, I'm happy to take any questions now. If that question and answer is working on the slide presentation. Thank you, Peter.
All right, let's leave your contact information up, and I do encourage people to reach out to you. You're doing some amazing work supporting families, and that's really so important that we get to our kids and encourage our kids. And it's got to be really tough for kids as they go through the world, and they don't have as many plant-based friends as we would like for them to have. And have you had any situations where you've had your patients, your young patients, uh, become plant-based, or have you supported them directly or mostly with parents? Can you talk a little bit about your experiences in your practice?
Yeah, there's a wide range of reactions to it. Some of the families, they go wholeheartedly into it. I've had some success with the parents more than the children. For example, like, the mom will come back into a clinic visit and be like, oh, look at all these nut cheese recipes I found. I'm like, oh, that's very nice. But, how's Junior doing? And the mom's like, oh, he eats at McDonald's on the way home from school every day. But let's talk about these recipes. So sometimes the parents take to it more than the kids. But then the kids who are really motivated and perhaps they follow a favorite social media influencer or athlete or music. I try to find out what the kids are into so that I can find if there's someone in their world that they're interested in who's plant-based, who they can look to for inspiration more than a doctor. So it's fun to work with the kids.
Beautiful. Well, I would love to support anybody who's initiating a campaign to bring Popeye back. I think we miss Popeye. Yeah, that's wonderful. So, because it's got to be really tough for kids as they're made fun of, or other kids don't get it, and maybe someday soon we'll have more support in schools for healthy meals and food programs. I want to applaud New York City. I think they're making major strides in that direction. Well, we have a couple people who've appreciated your presentation. Maynard Clark says, magnificent presentation. So thank you for that. And does anybody have any other questions? I guess I would please put them in the chat, and I'll try to read them here. Can we get plant-based role models who are not merely entertainers or athletes? Yes. Well, yeah, that will be great to have more, and we do, and we have a growing number of. Do you think who are some of your favorite influencers who are plant-based, who are role models in the world?
Oh, well, Billie Eilish in the music world is doing a lot of good work. And I like the movie Game Changers for the athletes who might have concerns about going plant-based and affecting their performance. But I just try to be a good role model myself. Having one-on-one conversations with people, and I'm, like you mentioned in the beginning, I'm a cycling enthusiast, and I think it's important to project a good, healthy, active lifestyle with the plant-based diet, so that people can kind of look up to you, look up to the ones sending the message. But
Beautiful. Well, a couple comments here. Somebody wanted to know if you have a challah recipe to share.
Oh, no, I don't. That's a good question. Yeah, I do miss challah. Yeah, that there's egg. For people who don't know, there's egg in challah. So yeah, I haven't seen. I'm sure a quick search online can get a plant-based challah recipe.
Roseanne was expressing her appreciation for your explanation on the mirror neurons, if I could just learn how to pronounce that, um, and the influence of it being so fascinating to her. Suzanne says, great presentation. She was impressed. She's impressed with you staying calm and cool. And I know we've all been there where we're just panicked, like, nah, what? It's like, no, let me out of here. My electricity just went out. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a nice day outside. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day outside.
That'd be a really good thing. Yeah,
Well,
the mirror.
let me re-record this on my own, and hopefully with all the bells and whistles going on.
That would be wonderful, and I'll be happy to make sure that we share it everywhere we can. And so,
Okay.
thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up. I think I had one other question. I'm not sure how much time we have, a minute for it or so, but somebody was curious about what other pediatricians have to say when they find out that you're plant-based.
Oh, yeah, that's been a frustration to me, and is actually my latest mission is to try to educate pediatricians, because it's difficult when I'm giving a message to a family and they say, no, well, my pediatrician insists I drink milk, or a pediatrician insists I need I need meat for my iron levels. And so actually, I'm beta testing an eCourse right now that I hope to have available in the next few weeks, where it's specifically designed for families, and I'm going to be giving it free to pediatricians. But it's for families on how to properly raise a plant-based child. I go over all the concerns about deficiencies and how to really do the plant-based diet right. And I'm going to send it to all the pediatricians I know for free, so that they have access to it and its information, so that they can continue giving advice, but hopefully more plant-based advice. Also, I give talks to pediatric grand rounds. So Grand Rounds is a departmental meeting in the pediatric department of children's hospitals. And it's usually every week, sometimes administrative, but they also bring in experts to talk about various topics. So I gave one earlier this month at a hospital on Long Island. I'm giving another one later this month at a children's hospital on Long Island. And then in December, I'm giving one in Albany. So I've been setting up these pediatric, offering my expertise to help pediatricians understand this. So yeah, that's really my mission, is to help educate other pediatricians about this, because so much of the guidance is milk and meat and animal products. But yes, I agree that there was a time in our nation's history when milk could help a kid grow up, would ensure adequate nutrition. There was a time when meat would help an adult workforce have the energy to be productive. But we know a lot more about nutrition now. We have a lot more options now, and we have an obesity epidemic now. So it's time to change the recommendations to be more plant-based. We have an environmental crisis now. We have a poverty and food insecurity crisis now. So I'm trying to help educate the pediatricians about this, so that they can take it up and embrace it.
Well, Terry says we need more doctors to understand the plant-based benefits, and actually, I'm hoping that we can collaborate and put together a short set of resources that any parent can show their pediatrician. Say, here's a couple studies, here's some videos that you may want to take a look at and see the benefits of being plant-based. So. I'd love for us to collaborate and make that kind of a set of resources available to our community. So maybe we can do that soon, and everybody watch for that.
Yeah, I have friends beta testing my eCourse right now. I'll let you know when it's available.
Absolutely. Be happy to share that, and
Mhm.
everybody stay tuned and watch for that. And like I was saying earlier, we're going to have a different speaker every Saturday with a different aspect of thriving and inspiring. So bringing people from the medical, but also from the vegan community, as well as the emotional wellness coaches and counselors, so that we can all learn how to stay calm in this world that's not very vegan and whole food plant-based friendly, so we can all thrive and at the same time try and inspire the people we care about. So thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Dr. Ettinger. It's been such a pleasure having you, and I look forward to your new version of this video, and we'll share it with everybody.
All right, thank
So,
you.
thank you. So namaste, vegan.
Stay vegan. Yes.
So long, everybody. Thank you.